Ain't it good? Ain't it a blessing? Ain't it good? Ain't it wonderful? Ain't it good? Ain't it a blessing? To have peace in your life. Ain't it good? Ain't it a blessing? Ain't it good?
Hello to my brothers and sisters out there in Chimes Land. This is Bo coming to you from the home of Brother Larry Graham and his wife Tina. We're here celebrating just another day of fellowship of getting together. And I just wanted to take some time to have Larry reflect on our friendship that has developed over decades now, believe it or not. Before I had gray hairs, believe it. And we were younger folks at that time. And you know, the thing about it is, speaking with Larry, you would expect for the conversation to be about music, but today I really don't want to focus on what you can go to YouTube and Google him and find out all about his music career. But what most folks don't know is the way we have come together is because of a spiritual bond and relationship that happened some years ago when he produced our album. So I'm just going to turn the floor over to he and his wife, and we can maybe talk a little bit about how that came about. I think the year was like 1983. Somebody had just had a baby and had a little girl named Latia.
Yes.
And I'll never forget the shock that I had. We went into the house one day for she had prepared dinner for us and was cooking. And Larry was doing something, showing something. He said, "Here, hold her." And I'm standing there with a baby in my arms. I'm like, So that's how our relationship started. So
baby.
These are my partners here. So please, just go ahead and chime
My
in.
beautiful, and she's still my baby.
She
And then
ain't a
my
baby,
baby
no. I
has,
ain't gonna be holding her.
my baby Latia has 3 other babies, Jaden and Gavin and Cyan. And those are our grandchildren.
Wow.
And they live 4 minutes from us. 5 minutes. Yeah.
Depends on who's driving.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm driving, 5 minutes. Yeah.
So I want y'all to hear this. What she's saying to you is the funk now has grandkids.
Oh, yeah. Gavin is 11. Cyan is 10. And Jaden is 15. So one just got in high school. One is in junior high school. And then one is in the last year of elementary school.
Yeah. And they're growing. They're all up on me. Like the baby Cyan, she's just like all up in here. When I stand next to her, it's like, what are you doing up here by me? And then Gavin too, he's like all up in here. And then Jaden is all up
above
over me. It's like, so when I hug, I have to hug like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that
Beautiful.
means Latia is a grown lady now.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Beautiful. The best mom ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so proud of her.
The best mom and the best daughter.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So what happened with us when we were doing our second album? We went out to Los Angeles where Larry was living at the time. And we were there for a few weeks and we did the album. And it's something that was kind of unexpected happened on one of the Sundays that we were there. We didn't expect that he would invite us to go with him to his Kingdom Hall. And that's how we found out that there was more to Larry Graham than just music. There was another dimension. And that's kind of how we have remained connected across the years. And maybe you would like to kind of speak to that, Larry, about that side of Larry Graham that maybe few people don't know about. But if you've been to a concert, they know, because you stay out there all night till the last person is gone, so that they'll know that you are witnessing to somebody and some power that can change people's lives.
Well, we love people. And, we just followed the example that was set in Bible times. That you know something good, share it.
Yeah.
And we found out something good because somebody shared it with us. So we just spread the love.
Yeah.
And share it like we did with you.
Yeah.
And then, never ever trying to force anything on anybody. But basically just sharing something that's like if you find out about a good restaurant.
Yeah.
Have you been to such and such and such?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they got this and they got that, and you start talking about it and stuff because you feel that it's good, or you see a good movie. And so if you read something in the Bible, then it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I never knew that.
Right.
So somebody showed it to me, so I share it with someone else if they want to hear it. And then it's up to us individually what we want to do with it.
But you know what's fascinating me, man, is to think back. I mean, we're talking going on 35 years now, 35 plus years, that you had this kind of spiritual awareness back then, coming from the background that you came from. You know, I would not have. I would have had to get to know you to believe it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it just didn't seem fit the image that I had stereotyped you into.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, or me for myself.
Yeah.
I basically my grandmother raised me for the most part because my mom was traveling on the road,
Mama M.
Okay.
taking care of us basically. Because we left Texas when I was around 3, and her being a female musician, piano and vocals. Yeah, my mom. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for her in Texas then, like there were in California. So we moved to California because she was the main support for me and my grandmother and herself and my auntie, who was more like being raised as, she was more like a sister to me.
Johnny Man. Johnny Man.
Really raised as my mom's sister too. So in California there was much more opportunity, but then she even found more opportunities by traveling to other countries. So she traveled all over the world and earning a living. And although my grandmother was raising them, my mother was constantly sending money every week to take care of us. You know, you always knew that there was an envelope, a letter
Coming.
yeah, and coming in the mail. So she always provided for us. And then eventually when I was 15, she settled down in California. Then we started working together. So that was a turning point. That was pretty good.
That's kind of like, I understand the origin of the plucking and thumping.
Yeah.
You and your mom.
Yeah.
Drummer didn't show.
Yeah. Well, she decided not to use a drummer, period.
Ah.
Yeah. And so that's how I got into that. But like you said, the rest of that is on YouTube and other stories.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the years growing up, my grandmother and I went to Hawaii, where my mother had been doing what we call today a residency.
Mm-hmm.
You stay in one club or one lounge or one venue for years. And she was there maybe 10, 11, 12 years, something.
Wow.
But anyway, we went there to live there for a year. So I lived in Hawaii for a year, my grandmother and I, before it was a state too. A lot of Hawaiians around.
So you went to school there.
And so I went to school there, Kaimuki Intermediate. And so my grandmother had been raising me in the Catholic religion because that's how she was raised. So that's basically the churches that we would go to. But my mother basically wasn't enforcing going to the Catholic Church. But when my grandmother and I moved back to California, she said, well, your mother is not forcing you to go to any church, but you gotta go, she's not forcing you to go to the Catholic Church, but you gotta go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started just going to a church. I don't have to go to the Catholic Church, I can go anywhere I choose. So I would just choose a church and go to that one, and then next time I'd go to another one, and then next time I'd go to a different one. So basically, over a period of time, I visited a lot of different churches. And one thing that stood out to me, even at a young age, is that some of the teachings were not in harmony with each other of the same denomination. Some things that here on one side of town, same denomination, on another side of town was different. So that concerned me. and then some things that little that I would know about the Bible, some things were not exactly in harmony with that. So anyway, I continued to go to the different churches, but I could also see the disunity, you might call it, or not being in
The
harmony
disconnect.
with each other. Yeah.
The disconnect in various religions.
Yeah. But Tina's mom was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, and then she was a flight attendant for a while after she came out of college. And but on one particular flight, a coffee maker exploded, and she got burned. And as a result, she got left in the Philippines, and we attended to at the hospital there. And from there, they sent her home, which happens to be just in time for her mother getting baptized in 1974 at the Oakland Coliseum. Just thousands and thousands of people there. And so she went because her mother one day was pretty upset that none of her children were coming to see her get baptized. And Tina was like,
I'll go.
And she went and was impressed by what she saw and heard, and invited me. And I didn't come Saturday, but I came the next day, Sunday. I was impressed by what I saw and heard. And then I had a bunch of questions. Tina said, well, I don't know much about this. We were just friends at the time. She said, I don't know much about this, but we can go to the lady that studied with my mother. She can help us out, answer some of these questions. And so we went to her, and she answered everything from the Bible, everything I asked her. And so then it became time for me to go on tour. And there was a gentleman that Gene Stewart that had a sister that was teaching us, had a gentleman by the name of Norman McKinney sat in on the studies, and he told me, he said, well, when you go on the road, you don't have to stop your studies of the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. Any city you get in, just call on the phone, get the phone number out the phone book, all information, and call them, and they'll come over and continue your studies. In each city I got in, I would call, tell them my name, tell them what chapter I was on. Somebody would come to the hotel. Bam. I get to the next city, call, somebody would be there. Bam. And I did this in about maybe 25 or so different cities.
Wow.
I even did it when the tour continued on in Europe. And I remember being in Amsterdam, Holland. Did the same thing. Got on the phone, found the witnesses, told me how to get to where the teachings were. Same thing. So the one thing that I noticed in all of the different 25 cities, including in Europe, all the teachings were in harmony.
Foundation.
Everything was, it was almost like, did you talk to this last person in the last city I was in? Everything was connected, right? So I could see the unity, and I could see the harmony. Everything was coming from the Bible. Everything I was being taught, any questions I had was being answered straight from the Bible. So I got a chance to see from myself that, wow, this is it. This is what I've been, not necessarily looking for, but this is what I need. I didn't even know it. I didn't found the truth. And so then I made the next step of, by that time we had been together for a while, and I knew I wanted to marry her and get baptized one of the Jehovah's Witnesses, which I did in 75. And then I continued my studies, and eventually, ran into you.
Eventually. And I want to pick up on that side, but something just came up I want to ask you before we go there. This is a little off subject, but I'm thinking about the fact that this is coming up on 50 years post Woodstock, and you were a part of that, what that was. And as we look now, not just musically, but to me there was a a social and spiritual moment that happened then that changed everything about how we look at life in America. What are your thoughts now, 50 years removed from that moment when you were a part of what is an iconic minute in American history?
Well, the thing that stood out to me is having a bunch of young people together on that large of a scale, 500,000 people together, and you didn't hear about a lot of violence.
Yes, no violence.
Yeah.
Because I heard there was a documentary on PBS or something last week I was looking at. And they were talking about how after Woodstock, a group of promoters tried to do the same thing on the West Coast. And they said that what happened on the West, it went totally berserk. It went wild. It was dead arrests, dead deaths actually happened at that concert.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. And, so it was a special time and place, and you got all these people together. Not that it was a bunch of angels, so to speak. There were things that were being done that weren't proper, you might say. But the point is that you got this many people together, and the focus is not violence.
No.
The focal point is not committing crimes like stealing.
Right.
The focus was the music, and so it was very unique in that sense because there's been a lot of violence in large gatherings since those times. So that was special. So that stood out. The fact that you can have that many people together. And another thing that stood out, in a lot of different fields, and we can include music, there's a lot of competition. This person trying to outdo that person, and this group of people trying to do that, outdo that group of people. There was a different camaraderie among the musicians at Woodstock, and nobody was, to my knowledge, was really trying to outdo other folks. It's like, I'm wishing you well. I hope you go out there and tear it up.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I hope you have a successful show, and everybody was pulling for everybody else, because everybody suddenly found themselves in a unique situation of playing in front of 500,000 people. Nobody there ever played in front of that many people, to my knowledge. And so you found yourself in a situation like that. Oh, and another thing too is, since it wasn't planned, there was a shortage of everything. People were sharing with one another.
See.
Trying to help one another, and at the same time have a good time, And, I imagine a lot of people certainly had the option to leave, even if you had to walk. Nobody was holding you there, against your will.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to be there because there was such a feeling of camaraderie and among the musicians, which, it's normal for one band to want to try to outdo the other band. One act want to outdo the other act, but that wasn't the feeling. Even backstage, it was just a bunch of love and unity, and hope you do well. Unique time.
So that's a piece of history I'm glad. So what happened was 14 years later, you got a phone call from somebody asking you about producing a band in Mississippi. I ain't said Mississippi, Mississippi.
That's right. That's it. Yeah,
Miss.
that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I know you probably never heard of. What went into your thought processes when that phone call came?
Well, first of all, I was given an opportunity to produce a bunch of funky, young, enthusiastic, musicians that talented, that wanted to do something that was definitely in harmony with where my head and heart was.
Mm.
So it was like a natural to me. And at the time, the label was behind it. So it would seem like, plus, what was very important, having the freedom to create without having, I guess we may say, a company man in there over your shoulders, controlling and trying to do this and trying to do that and direct stuff. And because sometimes that would happen, you know,
Really?
maybe the person that the company would send wasn't even capable of doing that, but they had the power
Yeah.
and would just be more of an interference. Well, we didn't have that. We got the project and we could have the freedom to go in and produce, record, and play and sing how we wanted to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the opportunity that was presented to me. That's how I saw it. And then after meeting the band, all of you guys, then it was a lot.
Yep.
You know, it's a bunch of more folks that's like me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, wow, hey, this is a
Sweet.
no-brainer. You know,
Yeah.
which came out in the music.
And you know what you did for us to this day involved us in your family. That's how I became a loving member of your circle as well.
Oh yeah.
And what about your memories of Wynd Chymes in that time?
It's exactly what he said. It was like family, like he said. Here, hold our baby. Hold our baby.
Yeah.
It was like an automatic family.
Mhm. And I know all the
situation.
brothers will remember Doug coming to pick us up every morning to go to the studio. Your brother Doug.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and did we meet your sister? Did we have a sister we met? Or was it Doug's wife?
Doug's
Who was the
wife,
princess?
Nine
Nine-
Yeah,
Tara.
that's who.
Nine
Tara.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a wonderful thing to have a family, to see a family being forged out of what was just a music thing at first, and it has grown over the years to be something that's far more important than that. So I just wanted you all to have a piece of what we have shared across the years. I've been privileged to have this friendship go on for quite a while now, and to be invited to their homes. And we want you to take this and use this for your own spiritual uplift and inspiration, that hopefully you will try to find a relationship with the power that will guide you and bring you to a better understanding of how we can cope with the times that we're in now. So on behalf of Chyme Land, peace and blessings to you.
They're better days ahead.
There-
Wow.